bonus video number 2. Okay, I wanted just for my own pleasure and satisfaction to talk about Mike Bickle and IHOP. It may not really matter in the grand scheme of things, but it really matters. So I'm going to talk about it. Well, when I was exploring a relationship with Jesus as my husband, I was kind of tentative at first, as I've mentioned, because the experiences that I was having seemed rather unusual. I should have just read some church history and I would have felt a lot better, but I didn't. And I didn't know anybody that was, expressing their relationship with God in such romantic terms. And so I didn't quite know what to do, but I was going with it. And what really helped is I came across this preacher named Mike Bickle. He's from the States, and his big thing is the Bride of Christ. He loves the Song of Solomon. He talks a lot about Jesus as our bridegroom and making the first commandment first priority in our lives, to love the Lord with all our heart, soul, mind, and strength. And so that really appealed to me, and I began to listen to a lot of his teaching, and lo and behold, I found out he was coming to Calgary. So I made sure I was there. I can still see the auditorium. I can see exactly where I was sitting in this folding chair on the aisle, and Mike Bickle got up to speak. And I think he got 2 words out of his mouth, and I started to cry. Because it was like he was speaking my language. It was like he was reading from my diary. And everything he said was just confirming to me that I wasn't a weirdo, that I wasn't some freak, that Jesus really was that beautiful. His love really was that real, that God really wanted me much more than I wanted him. He just was expressing it in ways that I completely understood. And I think I must have been quite a sight because, everybody else there was listening politely. And here I was, a little lady sitting on the aisle, bawling her face off the whole time. I think I cried the whole time that he was speaking. I went home and I was changed because I felt validated. I felt like the Lord confirmed to me that this isn't just some weird thing that's going on with Cherie, that this man understood, that he experienced Jesus this way. And it proved to me that it wasn't about gender. That was the most powerful thing about it. It wasn't about, the fact that I'm a woman who's unfulfilled in my marriage, and so I'm glomming onto Jesus. It was about the Creator being in love with his creation, and the two of them being locked in an eternal embrace. That's what it was about. And Mike Bickle proved that to me. So after I met Mike and after I listened to his teaching, I really began to run full speed ahead with this love affair with God that I was experiencing through the person of Jesus. And I found out that Mike Bickle had started the International House of Prayer in Kansas City, which began as just a prayer meeting, but over time evolved into a 24/7 prayer house where innumerable teams of people would take 2-hour sets, day and night, and worship for 2 hours. Worship and prayer would happen for 2 hours, and then the next team would take over, and worship and prayer for 2 hours. And in that way, they covered the entire daytime and nighttime hours. And I found out that you could visit. And so I thought about it for 30 seconds, and then I decided to go. So over the years, I have gone to IHOP, the International House of Prayer, not the Pancake House. I have gone to IHOP several times, many times, and they have housing right there, so you can rent an apartment and stay for as long as you want. I would go usually for a week to make it worth my while. And then right across the street from the apartments is the International House of Prayer, with this large prayer room that is open to the public. And day or night, you can go into their prayer room where worship is happening nonstop. And you can sit and you can worship and pray and soak. And then you can go out to the washroom and come back and worship and pray and soak. And maybe go have lunch and then come back and worship. And you get the idea. And you can do that day and night as long as you want, for as long as you're there. Hello, it's like my home planet. So I've loved my trips to IHOP. Each one has been spectacular in one way or another. And if you ever get a chance to go, man, you should. It's an experience. I usually take at least a week, because I usually find it takes me a couple days of being in the prayer room to sort of detox, to even get to the point where my heart is fully engaged. So that's my recommendation. Take some time, go for a week to the International House of Prayer in Kansas City, and you won't regret it, I promise you. Thanks for letting me talk about it. Oh, I need to go to IHOP again.